Hey, everybody. Today's idiom is dead works, that comes from Hebrews 1. And it says, "Therefore, let us leave the elementary doctrine of Messiah and go on to maturity, not laying again a foundation of repentance from dead works and of faith toward God." Now, I don't know about you, but what I have heard in the past is that this phrase, this idiom, dead works, um, refers to the law, to the Torah. And I want to tell you that's not what it means. One of the reasons that it has come across meaning this way in modern times is that we somehow have this idea of this dichotomy between the law and grace. And so dead works in that sort of paradigm means you're going back under the law, you're trying to be saved by earning righteousness. But here's the thing, no Jew in the first century hearing these words would have understood it that way. To them, the law did not bring death, it brought life. The Torah tells them, and should tell us, how we're supposed to live after we have peace with God that He brings to us through His grace. The Hebrew word is chen. Now, every Jew in the first century knew that grace is the basis for our relationship with God, not our works. The Torah, they would have known, is simply how we become God's feet and hand in the world. His feet and His hands in the world. How we carry His name, how we are His ambassadors. Now, it is true that in many different places, Paul does argue against the idea that somebody should become Jewish first before they can enter into a covenant with God. And he tells them in no uncertain terms that has never been the case. But that doesn't set aside the Torah. It just tells us that Torah was never about salvation. It's always about life after grace. And that's how those in the first century hearing this phrase, dead works, that would have been their Torah foundation. So, okay, so then what does it mean? Not laying aside or not laying again a foundation of repentance from dead works. Here's what I think is going to help us unlock this. So we do have a contrast in the verse, but it's not between works or law and grace. It's between human behaviors that lead to death versus human behaviors that lead to life, which is pretty simple. Now, every follower of Yeshua, every follower of the way in the first century, they still believed that Torah is the living, guiding instruction necessary for fulfilling the purposes of God on earth. So to abandon Torah would mean to abandon faith in God. The phrase dead works kind of echoes back to Moses in Deuteronomy 30:19, where he tells the Israelites, speaking of his Torah, "I have set before you today life and death. Now choose life." Okay? So it's time to move forward, Paul's saying, not laying again a foundation of repentance from dead works. So what do we leave behind? We leave behind the actions that led to death. We leave behind the behaviors that did not produce life. He's saying, don't go back to those things that once condemned us. Instead, let's choose life. So, how do we know what aligns us with life as opposed to death? Well, for the answer to that, we need to go read Moses. Well, that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next lesson.